Hi everybody, happy Sunday afternoon, and here we are for our Facebook Live as we usually do on a Sunday. So today's topic is how can I make sure that I don't get involved in a toxic relationship. And so I'm going to share with you some tactics to make sure that you don't inadvertently find yourself in one of these relationships. So when we talk to people who have found themselves in a toxic relationship, there's often some common elements, a pattern, if you like, around how they found themselves in that place. So often that person will have just come out of either, like some kind of other bad situation. So it might have been, a bad relationship, a business failure, a marriage breakdown, or some other toxic relationship. And they'll be feeling pretty bad about themselves usually. So their self-esteem is normally quite low at this point in time. Another thing that we see is that the person that they have gone into a relationship with has rushed things along. So, they've quickly wanted commitment. They've either moved in together, gotten engaged, gotten married, or fallen pregnant very quickly. And, so it's like there's no time taken. It's very urgent. There's a feeling of high intensity and a feeling of urgency. So they're the two things that we find, generally are a pattern in these kinds of relationships when they look back, and across many, many toxic relationships. So it's so obvious, it jumps out at us. So I'm going to take you through a list of the top 10 things that you can do to make sure that you don't find yourself in a toxic relationship. So, of course, number one is going to be take things slowly. So, behavior and patterns are revealed over time. So you need to give the relationship time, give that other person time so that you can see it actually, coming through. So you can observe that person's behavior in healthy situations, in sickness, in anger, in frustration, when life is going well and when it's not. Don't rush into any commitment and not even living together. So, and we usually say 3 to 4 years in order to see that person's real behavior over time. So, we talk to a lot of counsellors and psychologists, and a lot of them will say you really have to be with someone for 4 years before you can actually know who they are. The next thing, number 2, don't give your heart quickly. So don't go all in really fast. Be responsible with your heart. Be a responsible steward of your heart. Hold on to it until you've got evidence of the person that you're going into that relationship with, that they can be trusted with your heart. It's one of the things that we see again, people sort of, again, because of that feeling of intensity that other person's encouraging, people go all in this relationship really, really quickly. Number 3, be an observer of your life. So watch this person's behavior. Don't lie to yourself about what you're seeing. Don't excuse any bad behavior. Things like, it's just PMS, or it's, they're not well, or they're in pain, or, they're those types of transitory things, but also the permanent ones around things like, they had a terrible upbringing. Don't make excuses for those bad behaviors, no matter how good that excuse might seem on the day. Don't make excuses for them. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances are, okay? Number 4, develop good boundaries. So work on your own boundaries. Decide what the price for entry is into your life. And then, don't back away from that standard. So an example might be that, no lies, or no infidelity, or, there needs to be some kind of a commitment to a future together, or they need to have plans for their own life. Remember, these are your standards. They can be anything that you like. It could be that they don't smoke. It could be that they don't drink alcohol at all. It could be that they go to church every Sunday. Whatever suits you, whatever your standard is, whatever it is that you need in your life for you to be comfortable to be with this person. You don't have to explain that standard to anybody. And then stick to that standard. Don't lower the standards. Don't let that person try to make you make exceptions or excuses for them. So, whatever that standard is that you've decided on, or standards, there might be 10 of them, and that's fine too. Whatever you decide they are, then stick with them. Number 5, recognize if you've been in a toxic relationship before, you are probably going to be more susceptible to toxic relationships. You're going to be vulnerable. You're going to be particularly vulnerable. So just recognize that and, do the work on yourself to figure out what allowed you to allow that person into your life. So, take some time between the relationships in order to work on yourself and work out what those triggers were and what those things were, the needs, if you like, or the attachment needs that that person was meeting for you, so that you can find a way to meet those needs yourself. Grow, learn, keep growing and learning until you become the best version of yourself. Until you love yourself too much to accept toxic people into your life. That's really the end goal that you're looking for. Number 6, don't coach the person you're in a relationship with. Don't argue and debate. Don't give them multiple chances. If they want to be a person who's on a self-development journey, a person who's growing and learning, you'll see that because they'll be doing it. They won't need you to badger them into it. They won't need you to, to be constantly coaching them and saying, read this book, read that article, here's something else. If they want it, they will go out and they will seek it, or they'll be asking you for that information. So don't coach, don't take it upon yourself to treat that person as though they're a project. Just eliminate anyone from your life who isn't meeting your standards for entry. If they don't treat you with respect and care and consideration that you would show to a friend, then there's no place in your life for them. So you need to hold those people accountable to the same standard that you would hold yourself accountable in a relationship with somebody else. Number 7 is journal. And the reason why I say do this is because this gives you some insight when you're looking back on the situation. So it enables you to track how you're feeling over time, whether you have more good days or more bad days. It also allows you to identify any patterns, and you can see them emerging over time. And you can also look back and go, wow, this person's really making me feel, unworthy, unloved, unseen, or whatever it is. You'll be able to track over a period of months, if you have more good days than bad days, or if it's the other way around. Number 8, make yourself the center of your life. Make you your central focus. And I know that we're told all the time that that's selfish and that, we shouldn't be putting ourselves first. But the truth is, toxic people want you to be self-sacrificing. So you need to be putting yourself first. You have to look after your own health and well-being before you can do anything for others anyway. The truth is that healthy giving always comes from a place of abundance, not from a place of scarcity or depletion. So it's only when you're looking after yourself well that you actually have anything left in your bucket to give somebody else. But again, a toxic person, they like an empty bucket or a bucket with a hole in it, and they will take everything that you can give them, including everything that you should be giving to yourself. So put yourself at the center of your life. Make yourself your own project, if you like. Number 9, there's a question, how does being in this relationship make you feel over time? Does it feel like it's a roller coaster? Is there an intensity of emotion rather than intimacy and connection? Is there this pattern that they desert you when you need somebody, or that everything's always about them? Take a look at the patterns over time, and this is where the journaling is going to help you as well. Number 10, which is the most important, and really I would say that if the answer is no to this, then nothing else matters, okay? This is the most important thing. Ask yourself, does this person treat me the way I want to be treated? Do I feel the way I want to feel in a relationship with this person? And if the answer to that is no, then that's the end of the story. There really isn't any other question that you need to ask yourself. So regardless of, whether they are making promises or whether they, you feel sometimes good in their presence, or because oftentimes with toxic people, it's not all bad. That's the reality, because we wouldn't get into a relationship with them and we wouldn't stay in relationships with them if it was bad all the time. So they have this pattern of the roller coaster, as I describe it, up and down, up and down. So we have good times and we have bad times, but the reality is over time, how does this person make you feel? Do they treat you the way that you want to be treated? And it's not just on one day, any given day in the week. We're talking overall, do you ever feel like this person doesn't treat you the way you want to be treated? It doesn't matter if it's 5% of the time. It doesn't matter if it's once a week. The reality is, if they're not treating you the way that you feel you want to be treated, then you're not in the relationship that you should be in. And I know that that's a tough one. I know it's not easy to leave a toxic relationship, and we'll do some work on that area in the future. So that's it for today. And once again, if you've got comments, please pop them in the comments below this Facebook Live. Understand that you can read the article over on LinkedIn. You can always come back to these videos on YouTube, and the podcast is on SoundCloud, usually by about Tuesday. And if you've got ideas for future Facebook Lives, then please do let me know. Have a great week, everybody, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.